From the information at my disposal, the cabinet decided to transfer power to him as the general officer commanding the armed forces. It means an abdication of power, and it means then the suspension of the president, the prime minister, the 4 regional governors, and the 4 regional premiers. In other words, the civilian authorities have found it impossible to maintain law and order and have transferred same to the military authorities until law and order can be maintained.
Are you or your cabinet setting a time limit on this assumption of power?
I'm not in position to say because I wasn't there. But the acting president, in a telephone conversation to me, merely mentioned that cabinet met and unanimously and voluntarily agreed to abdicate power. I'm assuming, in the light of previous practice elsewhere in the world, that it will be temporary.
But this military government could last 6 months or a year or even 2 years.
That's been the case in other parts of the world, and I won't rule that out.
Mr. President, do you think it was a coup or a mutiny?
From what I have read in the papers or seen in the televisions, some say it's a coup, some say it's a mutiny. But I doubt if it's a coup on the evidence available, because a coup would imply an attempt to overthrow the legally constituted government. That evidence is yet to be forthcoming. But what we know is that some soldiers in some parts of the country are in control, and others are in control. Well, some people call one group rebels, they call others loyalists. Well, you can take your pick there. But so it might appear to be mutiny, but I wouldn't say that it's either a coup or a mutiny. What I would say is that there is a sort of insurrection, or there is disorder in Nigeria, which the civilian authorities find impossible to contain.
When the Nigerian cabinet met, the British High Commissioner was present. Is it likely that the Nigerians there asked for help, which hasn't yet been transmitted to this country and to yourself?
In the first place, the principle of inviting the head of a diplomatic mission to attend a cabinet meeting of a friendly nation can be criticized. But in view of the nature of emergency prevailing, maybe it can be excused in the circumstance. But Sir Francis Cumming Bruce himself was reported to have said that the cabinet did not ask for military assistance. That may be so, it may not be so. If it is so, I'm afraid it will be a bit awkward to Britain in view of the fact that the present government has refused to use force in Rhodesia.
Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe, the former president of Nigeria, gives an interview in January 1966 to the world press on the day after an army mutiny staged by middle-ranking officers had prompted the Council of State to cede power to a military junta headed by the commander of the Nigerian army, Major General Johnson Aguiyi-Ironsi. Nnamdi Azikiwe was speaking in Dorking, Surrey, in England, where he has been resting after an operation. Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe explains that the Nigerian cabinet decided to transfer power to the military as the civilian authorities could not maintain law and order. The cabinet decision meant the suspension of the president, prime minister, and regional governors. Power was transferred to the general officer commanding the armed forces, that is, Aguiyi-Ironsi. Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe was not present during the cabinet decision, but learned through a conversation with the acting president. The cabinet decision was unanimous and voluntary. Nnamdi Azikiwe believes that the military rule is likely temporary but could last up to 2 years based on global precedents. He hesitates to label the situation as a coup or mutiny without sufficient evidence. Some reports indicate that soldiers in different parts of the country are in control, leading to confusion about who the loyalists or rebels are. Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe describes the situation as insurrection or disorder rather than a straightforward coup. There is a lack of clarity on whether the Nigerian cabinet requested military assistance from Britain. The British High Commissioner was present during the Nigerian cabinet meeting, which Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe finds unusual but understandable due to the emergency. Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe notes that the principle of inviting a foreign diplomat to a cabinet meeting can be criticized but justified in this case. There are conflicting reports on whether the Nigerian government asked Britain for military help. The British High Commissioner Sir Francis Kumi Bruce reportedly stated that no request for military assistance was made by the Nigerian cabinet. Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe finds the involvement of Britain in the Nigerian crisis awkward, especially in light of Britain's stance on Rhodesia. He questions the use of force in maintaining order in Nigeria, constraining it with the situation in Rhodesia. Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe refrained from definitively labeling the military takeover as a coup without more evidence. He mentions that different groups in Nigeria have referred to the situation with varying terms like rebels and loyalists. The Nigerian government was dealing with a significant breakdown of law and order, prompting military intervention. Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe suggests that the military government might be a temporary solution until law and order can be restored. Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe voluntarily abdicated, resigned from his position as the president of Nigeria, and hand over power to the military for peace to reign because there was so much corruption among civilian rulers. That is exactly what is happening right now in Nigeria. There is so much corruption among civilian rulers headed by Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So, just like Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe, Bola Ahmed Tinubu should also resign from his position as the president of Nigeria and hand over power to the military until a new election is being conducted for a new president to take over leadership in the country. Because in 1966, Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe willingly abdicated his position as the president to the military. He resigned his position as the president to the military just for peace and order to reign in the country. But right now in Nigeria, we have leaders that cannot even protect the citizens. There is so much insecurity in the country, so much corruption in the country, and the masses are dying of hunger, starvation, and poverty. Just recently, Sowore was arrested because he came down to Nigeria all the way from the US for the upcoming protest. The essence of the protest is to inform the government that their policy and leadership is destroying the country. The president is not even bothered about the hardship in the country. He's just busy traveling all over the world, from China to Japan, from Japan to Australia, from Australia to US. He's not even bothered about the current hardship going on in Nigeria. So that is why I think he should just resign and hand over power to the military, so that the military can temporarily hold on to the power until a new election is being conducted for a new president. Because as it is right now, Tinubu is not capable of leading Nigeria. The man is just after his pocket. That is why the country is dying. Think about the fuel increment. People are complaining that the fuel price is too much, yet Tinubu had the audacity to increase it again. That shows that he's not even bothered about the hardship in Nigeria. So just like Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe did in 1966 by resigning his position as the president of Nigeria and handed over his power to the military, I think the current president of Nigeria, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, should do the same. He should resign his position as the president of Nigeria and hand over power to the military, so that the military can temporarily hold on to the power and maintain order, so as to prepare for a new election that will usher in a new administration. So that is what I think in this video. So your opinion and comment will be appreciated. Thank you very much for taking our time to watch my video. I will see you again in my next update. Enjoy the rest of your day.